Just recently, I hooked my younger brother onto Dandy's World, but he soon stumbled upon a bit of an issue. He didn't understand most of the things other players said to him or wanted him to do. There are just too many slang terms, acronyms, and abbreviations that can cause a lot of trouble, especially for new players. Even I stumble once in a while upon a term I have never heard before. But don't worry, I got you. Whether you are new to the game or an experienced Dandy's World player, I am sure you'll learn something new today. This is your personal Dandy's World dictionary. There are multiple categories of acronyms, so let's first start with those you can encounter in the lobby before you go to the elevator. These terms mostly describe what type of run you or someone else is looking for. There are essentially 3 basic types of runs that you've probably already seen people call for in the lobby chat. Then there are lots of special ones too. The 3 are Main Hunt, Dandy Run, and Normal Run. Main Hunt is a game where the goal is to find and research main twisteds. There are a total of 10 main characters in Dandy's World, and 8 of them are playable. The main reason to play Main Hunt is that mains, unlike other toons, need 100% research before you can unlock them. For other toons, you just need enough ichor. But don't mix up Main Hunt with Main Run. If someone calls for the Main Run, they are looking to put together a team consisting only of the main toons. Then there's the Dandy Run. If you join for a Dandy Run, you promise not to buy anything from the Dandy store in the elevator. That's because the goal in this type of run is to summon Twisted Dandy, and to do that, you have to ignore him and his store. Lastly, a normal run is a type of game where nothing special is expected of you. There are no special rules in place. Then there are at least a dozen specialized types of runs that you might see, though they're not that common. You might see a pro run, which is usually planned outside of Dandy's World, typically on a Discord server. Only players who've reached a high floor can join, and there are usually set roles for everyone. Typically, a pro run will also at the same time be intended as a long run, which is when the goal is to get as far as possible. But both of these might also be organized in-game, which is why you might be asked for your FF, HF, or FS. FF means furthest floor, HF is the highest floor, and FS means floors survived. In chat, someone might ask you to share your FF, or you might, on the other hand, need an HF of at least, let's say, 10 to join the group. There is also a Nightmare Run, which is a fun challenge if you are starting to get bored. In a Nightmare Run, you play as usual, but if you meet your twisted counterpart, you have to stand completely still for the whole floor. Then it's up to the other players to get you out. And if you want to make it even harder, you can mix it with a Death Run. This variation is often also called Grief Run, or simply Battle Royale. In a Death Run, your goal isn't to survive for as long as possible as a team. Quite the contrary, you try to get everyone else killed and be the last one standing. You lead twisteds to your teammates and cause chaos. The winner is the one who survives the longest. It's really fun, but you probably won't encounter it in the wild. It's usually planned on Discord or somewhere similar. Then there are different names for runs that describe the theme of the toons you play. You can play a starter-only run, which means you and your teammates play either Poppy or Boxton, one of the toons that are available as starting characters. You can also play a food-only run, where everyone uses toons based on some type of food or drink, such as Shrimpo, Tegan, and Sprout. Another one is Event Run, where the whole team uses toons that were added as part of a special event. This can mean any event character, meaning from any event, or it can be focused on just one event, for example, a Halloween run. Speaking of the Halloween event, once you finish watching this video, you should definitely check out my video discussing what happened to Gordy. If everyone plays the same character, it's usually described as Army Run. For instance, Pebble Army Run. Another really fun one is a Guard Dog Run. In this one, you have 4 pebbles and 4 other toons of your choice. Each toon gets their own pebble as a guard dog that should distract twisteds. And let's wrap it up with 2 other types of runs you'll likely see, and that's the Family Run, and runs styled in a specific color. A color run is when everyone picks toons that share the same primary color. You can have Blue Run, Red Run, and so on. And Family Run is a type of game where you all play as toons that are related to each other. That usually means Toodles, Roger, and Tegan only. Toodles was believed to be Roger's daughter. However, on a Q&A stream, Quell confirmed that they are not actually related like this, but Toodles just sees him as a father figure. Still, most players treat them as father and daughter, and that's why they often play them as the family trio. As far as I know, Tegan also isn't part of the family in the official lore, but they're very close, and players like to ship them together. Here are some of the other types of games you might run into. And now, let's talk about one more important group of acronyms you will often see in the lobby, and that's abbreviations for toons. These can come in different forms, varying from player to player, since everyone can come up with their own inside joke and name tunes differently. Generally recognized acronyms are, for instance, PEB or PEBS for Pebble, T for Tegan, COS for Cosmo, or R&D for Razzle and Dazzle. You can also call V just V, Ginger Gin, Roger Rod, and so on. For these, you usually take the tune's name and shorten it in a way that makes sense, so these shouldn't really cause you much trouble. However, what can be tricky are the unusual acronyms that are more random, often based on the game's lore or on jokes that run in the Dandy's World community. For example, you may encounter people calling scraps crap, or Tisha can be called tissue or issue. You can also see Cole being called Pebbles 2, or just shortened to Peb 2. Or she's occasionally called Biggie. Sprout is sometimes called Sprite, and so on. As you can see, this second group isn't really made of acronyms, since they're not really shorter than the name. Players usually made these up as a joke, but they were repeated over and over again, so they're widely recognized now. So you'll probably see them in chats quite often. And when you want to reference a twisted version of any tune, you usually just add a T at the beginning, both with or without a space. That's also used with the abbreviations we just talked about. So for example, TV or TV would mean Twisted V. Now we're going to GTE, or get to the elevator and look at acronyms used in the heat of the game on the floors. First, let's cover acronyms related to different items. As you probably know, you can find items in a few different rarities. If we don't count event items, there are 5 rarities in total. The most common items don't usually have any acronym, since they're so basic that people don't need to mention them in the chat. But rarer items do, and you'll probably see a few of these often. The first one is band for bandage. The health kit is usually called med, since most players say med kit instead of health kit, so it's abbreviated from that. You can also use these together with INH and ANH. INH means I need healing, and ANH means anyone needs heal. Then to call bottle of pop, you would use bop, and box of chocolates becomes bok. And lastly, SB equals smoke bomb, and EB equals eject button. Now let's look at acronyms related to twisteds on the floor. If you have a free floor, that means that on the current floor, there are no chasing twisteds active. So that means there are only either Roger, Connie, or Razzle and Dazzle. Roger only appears if you open a fake research capsule. Connie will start chasing you only if you touch the possessed machine, and Razzle and Dazzle are harmless, as long as nobody uses their sprint near them. There are also a few acronyms used in relation to Twisted Glisten. You probably know that Glisten has 2 states, and in the base one he's harmless. But if he's left alone for a while, he snaps and starts hunting you. Staying close to Glisten to stop that from happening is called babysitting. If nobody is babysitting Twisted Glisten yet, you might be called to GOG, which means get on Glisten. This acronym is also used as get off Glisten, which is called near the end of the round, because once every machine is finished, Glisten automatically snaps. To warn others to move away from him, you can also use GAFG, which means get away from Glisten. The moment every machine is done, panic mode activates. Once that happens, you only have 30 seconds to get to the elevator before it closes. Since some of the maps can be quite large, and there are 2 elevators present with only one working, you may see PMW or PW in the chat. That means panic mode, or a panic mode warning, letting you know the last machine is almost done. PW can also be used at the beginning of the round to warn others that there's a difficult twisted on the floor. The non-operational elevator is usually described as dead, fake, or abbreviated as Ina LA. To talk about the last machine, there are a few acronyms. To ask if anyone is already working on the last, you can write AOL. You can also tell your teammates not to do the last by saying DDL. This is very handy in situations when someone is AFK and you don't want to leave them behind. In this situation, you'll often hear someone say to prime the machine. Priming means getting the last machine to 99%. Once everyone's ready to finish, you'll say PTP, which means pop the prime. For any machine other than the last, you can say you are OM, which means on machine. If you want to ask if anyone's working on one, you can use AOM. When there's an especially hard floor with twisteds like Pebble, who's very fast, you can call DMQ. That means do machines quickly. To track the movement of twisteds on the floor, there are a few good acronyms too. The most common team setup includes a duo of distractors. Duo means there are 2 players who take turns distracting. Usually one distracts on odd and the other on even floors. But the 2 can also switch mid-game. The one who's not distracting right now is called a backup. The active one can say switch or use BD, which means backup distract. A lot of things can happen before the main distractor gets all the twisteds behind them, which they would call with ATC, or ATG, which means all twisteds captured, or all twisteds gathered. If you're not a distractor, but a twisted starts chasing you, we call that you got aggro. Also, being chased as a non-distractor is usually called kiting. In relation to distractors, we call that driving instead, though some players mix those up. Usually when you have an aggro, you're kiting around an island. An island means any group of obstacles like tables or boxes that you can loop around. If you're working on a machine and a twisted gets past you, you'd say PTW, or pass twisted. Of course, this only makes sense if your teammates know your position, so you usually also say where you are, or which direction the twisted went. Some of the acronyms we talked about can help you with that, like ELE for elevator, or mid, to reference the middle of the floor. But to say that twisted is near the elevator, we usually use TNE, or TAE. On higher floors, it's super important that distractors do their job to the very end. Once the last machine is popped, everyone goes straight to the elevator, except for the distractors. When everyone's inside, someone calls EAE, meaning everyone at the elevator, so the distractors know it's safe to leave the twisted and head there too. And that's it for the acronyms commonly used in DW. Yeah, DW can mean Dandy's World, but in chat, it usually means don't worry, so always check the context. I hope you learned something new today. If you did, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to comment below or let me know if I missed one.